And now, the best 60-ish seconds of your week. Well, summer is upon us. You have the summer reading list, and so we'll move on to other things this week. Let's talk first about a so-called gas tax holiday. And let's remember first and foremost that the high price of gasoline is not the result of any gas tax. The gas taxes at both the state and federal level have remained constant over the course of the past 5 or 6 years. Meanwhile, gas prices have gone through the roof. All of us hate that. And it costs me nearly $100 just to juice up my little jalopy. And folks that live at the margins are having real difficulty coping with an inordinately high price of gasoline. So a temporary rollback, and it has to be temporary, we can explain that in a minute, of the gas tax would allow people, especially since we're moving now to the summer blends, which cost more anyway, and vacation travel is here, etc., a little bit of relief. But the underlying problem is skyrocketing inflation caused by the Biden, quote-unquote, economy. We've got to address the root cause of skyrocketing gas prices, not nibble around the edges with what ultimately amounts to political gimmickry. And so you have Joe Biden telling us now that he wants to suspend the gas tax, something he said just a couple of years ago was a nutty idea, but yet on the same day telling us that the economy is in great shape. Who buys that? I mean, folks are waking up saying, how am I going to afford gasoline today? How am I going to get the groceries I want at the grocery store? And if I can, how am I going to be able to afford them? How am I going to be able to get other things at the store when they're in stocks, when the shelves aren't stocked properly, and when the prices are through the roof? That's what confronts everyday Americans every day. And so what's going on in Washington, D.C.? The January 6th hearings, something that is a questionably constituted committee in the first place. Some would say illegally constituted, which is engaging in a show trial, let's be honest about it, with very little opportunity for cross-examination of the witnesses and a constant diatribe about what did or didn't happen on January 6th, an attempt to relitigate what already happened there. And they're saying, what's going to happen to Donald Trump? Well, they already impeached him for it, for crying out loud. Most Americans think it's time to move on. They view all of this as being in the rearview mirror, and they want real solutions and real answers to the problems that confront us right now, most notably the price of everything, the inflation that's killing their 401ks as the stock market continues to tumble simultaneously, crime in our streets, and schools that are failing. And when we think about the economy, we're also thinking about crime in the streets. And it's going to be fascinating to watch as district attorneys across the country who are part of this ultra-progressive, woke left cabal put into office with funding from George Soros in particular, is finding itself under real fire. People looking to remove them from office through recall, through impeachment, and through other means because they're sick and tired of district attorneys who don't want to prosecute crime. Meanwhile, we're talking about additional gun control legislation. Think about that. The whole notion that another law or two is going to solve the problem of quote-unquote mass shootings basically says that the 20,000 plus laws we already have in place are inadequate. So adding 1 or 2 laws is going to somehow change that, making it illegal for a person under 21 years of age to buy a gun when we ask them to go to war for us, when there are folks saying that we ought to lower the voting age from 18 to 16, but expand the age you can buy a gun from 18 to 21 because, as Jerry Nadler says, the human brain isn't fully formed at 18. I mean, who buys this stuff? They're the folks that are always yelling at us to trust the science and follow the science, and yet we hear that kind of justification for some of these actions that bluntly people just don't buy. Here in Pennsylvania, one other quick thing that I think is worth looking at as we go through the budget season and hopefully get one done before July the 1st. They're talking about moving up the Pennsylvania primary for the 2024 election. That's something I've been calling on for years and years and years. It simply makes no sense for Pennsylvania to make itself irrelevant in the presidential nominating process for both parties. Both parties have a great opportunity to move Pennsylvania's primary dramatically forward, maybe even ahead of what the current legislation suggests, so that we, a ultimate swing state, become as relevant in the spring as we are in the fall. That would be good for all of us, good for our economy, good for our body politic, good for our position as a state and the power of Pennsylvania. So for now, that is the best 60-ish seconds of your week.